accept the fact that the city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion. What it means is Old Testament in there. Real wrath of God type stuff. Fire, brimstone, out of the sky, rivers, seas, boiling, earthquakes, human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. That's terrible.
Every once in a while, I have what I think of as an out-of-the-body experience at a movie. When the ESP people use a phrase like that, they're referring to a sensation of the mind actually leaving the body and spiriting itself off to China or Peoria or a galaxy far, far away. When I use the phrase, I simply mean that my imagination has forgotten it is actually present in a movie theater and thinks it's up there on the screen. In a curious sense, the events in the movie seem real, and I seem to be a part of them. Personally, myself. Star Wars works like that. My list of other out-of-the-body films is a short one, an odd one, ranging from films such as Bonnie and Clyde, Cries and Whispers, to the slick commercialism of Jaws and the brutal strength of Taxi Driver. On whatever level, sometimes I'm not all that sure. They engage me so immediately and powerfully that I lose my detachment, my analytical reserve. The movie's happening, and it's happening to me. All of a sudden, at one point, I'm there with the people who are in the movie. I'm there in that moment. What makes Star Wars the Star Wars experience unique, though, is that it happens on such an innocent and often funny level. It's usually violence that draws many people so deeply into a movie, violence ranging from the psychological torment of a character to the mindless crunch of a shark's jaws, maybe movies that scare us to find the most direct route to our imagination. But there's hardly any violence at all in Star Wars. And even then, it's presented as essentially bloodless swashbuckling and a bunch of stormtroopers that cannot hit any type of target. So if you saw a bunch of them, you probably shouldn't be that scared. Instead, there's entertainment, so direct and simple that all of the complications of the modern movie seem to vaporize. Star Wars is a fairy tale. I'm going to say that one more time. Star Wars is a fairy tale, a fantasy, a legend, finding its roots in some of our most popular fictions: the golden robot, lion-faced space pilot, the insecure computer on wheels must have been suggested by the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion, the Scarecrow, and the Wizard of Oz. The journey from one end of the galaxy to the other is out of countless thousands of space operas. The hardware is from the Flash Gordon, from 2001 Space Odyssey. The chivalry is from Robin Hood. The heroes, well, they're from Westerns. And the villains are a cross between Nazis and sorcerers. Star Wars taps into the pulp fantasies, the pulp fiction fantasies buried in our memories. Why? I'll tell you why. It's because it's done so brilliantly. It reactivates old thrills, fears, and exhilarations we thought we'd abandoned when we read our last copy of Amazing Stories. The movie works so well for several reasons, and they don't all have to do with the spectacular special effects. The effects are good, yes, but the great effects have been used in such movies such as Silent Running, Logan's Run, without setting all-time box office records. No, 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 no. I think the key to Star Wars is more basic than that. The movie relies on the strength of pure narrative in the most basic storytelling form known to man. And that is the journey. Yes, that's right. That is the journey. All of the best tales, remember from your childhood. Think about this for a moment. Think about this for just a few moments. They had to do with heroes setting out, traveling down roads filled with danger, and hoping to find treasure, heroism, at the journey's end. Think about that for a moment, because that's what Star Wars is. George Lucas takes this simple and powerful framework into outer space, and that is an inspired thing to do. Because we no longer have maps on that warn, here are the dragons. We can't fall off the edge of the map as Columbus could. And we can't find hope to find new continents of prehistoric monsters or lost tribes ruled by immortal goddesses. Not on Earth, anyway. But anything is possible in space. Hold on, let me say that again. I'm going to just tell you one more time. And that is that anything is possible in space. You don't want to hear about possibilities. You don't want your imagination to be challenged. You don't want to sit there and go to places that you've never been, because I'm telling you right now, that's where we've been. The imagination of people like George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and people all over, Stanley Kubrick, and everybody else who've been telling us since the very beginning that the moon is nothing but a piece of cheese. That's really what matters. We get involved quickly because why? The characters in Star Wars are so strongly and simply drawn to who we are. We connect with them. I have a friend that reminds me of Han Solo. I know somebody who reminds me of Princess Leia. I know the guy that's like Luke Skywalker. And yes, I do have a cat that absolutely acts just like Chewie. We're drawn to them. We're drawn to them. And then Lucas. Oh, George Lucas. What an interesting thing. He sends his heroes off across the universe to do battle with the forces of Darth Vader, the evil Empire, and the awesome Death Star. He gives us a lot of special effects. Yes, ships passing into hyperspace, alien planets, to infinity and beyond, stars, lasers, and it's like, hey, well, here goes. It's like, there's space lasers. Ships passing into hyperspace. Living creatures. And you know what? Lucas correctly guesses that they'll be more interesting for us than all of the intergalactic hardware that is there as well. Speaking for the late Roger Ebert, saying the most fascinating single scene for me, the most fascinating scene for me was the one set in the bizarre saloon of the planet Tatooine. Incredible collection of extraterrestrial alcoholics, bug-eyed martini drinkers lined up at the bar. Lucas lets them exhibit characteristics that were universally human. I found myself feeling a combination of admiration and delight. Star Wars had a place in me. The presence of reality, magical movie invention, here all mixed together, here whimsically, and fantasy, wonderment, quietly sophisticated storytelling as we have a drink at the bar. You know, when Stanley Kubrick was making 2001 in the late 1960s, he threw everything he had into the special effects depicting outer space, but finally decided not to show any aliens at all. Why? It's because they were impossible to visualize. Who knew what aliens were? What the hell did anybody know what aliens look like? Nobody knows. But that's not what Star Wars demonstrates. To the movie's delight, the possibilities of alien life forms is at least as much fun as its conflicts between the space cruisers of the Empire and the Rebel Alliance. Perhaps that helps to explain the movie's one weakness, which is the final assault on the Death Star is allowed to go on too long. Maybe having invested so much money and sweat into his special effects, George Lucas couldn't bear see them trimmed. But the magic of Star Wars is only dramatized by the special effects. The movie's heart is, and it's endearingly human and non-human, and a reflection of people. Well, once again, human or non-human, in themselves. That is from Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times, starting in 1967 until his death in 2013. This particular article, let's see if we go back up to the top, it is from January 1st, 1977. Star Wars. When you say the word Star Wars, there are many things that conjure up in your own mind. Think about it for a moment. If you say the word Star Wars, what do you think? Do you think lightsabers? Do you think Darth Vader? Do you think Luke Skywalker? Do you think of Shadows of the Empire? The first expanded universe story outside of Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which was a novel back in the late 1970s. Yes, there are those. There is also what? Yes, that's right. Knights of the Old Republic. And then there is Timothy Zahn. Timothy Zahn, who gave us the amazing character who is Grand Admiral Thrawn. One of my personal favorites. Because here are the facts. There was a whole world of Star Wars that was given to us after George Lucas, during the time when there was the prequel trilogy. And of course, there were some things that during the prequel trilogy that were retconned. The fact still remained that the only real retcon that happened was when Disney got the property, and they got the property and they burned the entire expanded universe of Star Wars like it was Berlin in 1933. You're damn right, I'm going to say it again. Berlin 1933, that might as well have been when Disney took over the Star Wars property. They burned the entire expanded universe, and then they sat there and said, hey, we're going to create our own. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, well, listen, this is bad. But I'm telling you right now, there's a reason why George Lucas sat there and said, oh, well, yeah, I have these slave drivers that buy this stuff and they bought it from me. Now, did you know that George Lucas is now slowly encroaching as being one of the largest holders of Disney stock? Now, let me tell you about that. What if he goes back and retcons all this Star Wars garbage that Disney did? I think that would be an amazing thing. I think it would be great. And you know what? It probably would not let me be so butthurt the fact that I had more Star Wars memorabilia prior to Disney's acquisition than almost any collector out there. And I say that is because Star Wars is magical. Star Wars is incredible. Star Wars fosters that place of imagination. There are stars out there. There's galaxies to conquer. But here's the thing. The thing is that it was done in a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, which means that you today could grab your lightsaber and go take on the galaxy. You can do that. But I'm going to tell you how you can't do that. You can't do that if your lightsaber holster says copyright Disney underneath the bottom. Because, you bought it at a Walmart somewhere, 2 or 3 aisles over from the bubble-blowing lawnmower, and you sat there and said, hey, listen, I need a lightsaber. I need a lightsaber. I'm going to go buy one from Target and Walmart, and it's going to be so cool because it's like, I'm 40 years old, and I'm going to get a listen, what are you talking about? Listen to yourself. Disney has sat there and they've trolled you. They sat there and they took the entire Star Wars universe, they flushed it down the toilet, they book burned it like it was Berlin in 1933, and you want to sit there and still say that Star Wars still matters and Star Wars still is important. I'm still a Star Wars fan. You know what? I'm still sure that you're a fan of grabbing the soap. Just let me know what type of soap it is. Because I'm telling you what, it's probably the same soap that Disney used. They were shipping it over to Epstein Island. Broadcasting live here on the 4th day of May in the year 2024. You're listening to 90.1 FM. Yes, it is Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. But here are the facts. And then make sure you download the Live 365 app. Search WDCE. Go to WDCE.org. You can listen to the radio show segments. I'm going to come back in just a few moments, but I'm going to play some Star Wars jams. Why? Because it's a Star Wars kind of day. It is a Star Wars kind of day. And it doesn't matter that the fact that Disney book burned it like it was Berlin in 1933. What matters is that there's an imagination and a nostalgia aspect of Star Wars that goes well beyond my own personal views in terms of corporate greed. But what we need to do is we need to celebrate. Because I know with you, just like it is with me, Star Wars has a certain place. And that place is making sure that I have a band ready to sit there and play a song as soon as somebody gets their arm cut off. Because nothing screams family friendly than an arm getting severed and cut off in the middle of a cantina bar. But hey, Disney has bought it all, and you know what? That's what family entertainment's all about. Cutting off limbs in the middle of a cantina bar, that's what we do. Broadcasting live, setting the standard, raising the bar, the only way a real media puppet knows how to do. Here on the only radio show dedicated to the magic and nostalgia of Saturday morning, hosted by me, a real media puppet. At Sam Newsman is where you're going to find me, setting the standard, raising the bar. This is what we do. From the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman, and may the 4th be with you.